live.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Ask Sixto. Today is Memorial Day, so we're paying tribute to our veterans and everyone who has. Hold on a second. You guys can keep speaking.
We continue to go live. Welcome to back. Hi, everyone. Sixto de Jesus here. Thanks for being with us today. And Memorial Day, we remember those who served for our freedoms. But lately, a lot of us have been asking, how do we feel right now? And today, Tao, you can come back to the set. It's a little different, this session of Ask Sixto. Hello.
We have a special visitor. Priscilla from the Wish Project is here. So Priscilla, we're going to pop in and say hello. So we are all, we're all a huge fan of Lorena, right? And today we're cheating. We have cue cards today, so that because we're talking about a really tough subject in the community, we want to make sure that there isn't anything that we're missing. So we have questions lined up for Lorena. Are you ready to go?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. Let us know if you can hear us. Let us know if you're here. Say hello so we can say hello back. Ask the hard questions because we know the hard questions are not the ones we should avoid.
That's right.
It's
that's right.
easy to avoid,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't avoid, especially if you're someone at a how would you say it, council level, and you have constituents, because we have lots of worries in the community
Mm-hmm.
that should be addressed. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. So you go here to keep the flow.
We're used to cue cards on stage, cue cards during a Facebook Live, not so much. All right.
Okay,
So
Yes.
we have been trying, right? A good chunk of us in the community have been trying to build community engagement, civic engagement, especially alongside the younger adults and the community members who are not as spoken up, right?
Yes.
We're trying to build conversation, trying to build stronger communities, but the truth is, it's so hard right now. People are scared.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a push-pull happening, and some folks are leaning in, but many are pulling back.
That's true, and then that's something that we hear everywhere. The parents are afraid to drop off their kids at schools. The workers are afraid to drive to their job after a job site. Business owners say regulars are disappearing. Last week, a group of roofers was taken from a gas station on Bridge Street on their way to work, and that moment hit the city very hard. It was a full group that just didn't know family where they went in 1 second. So there's a lot out there, and we're going to be discussing that with someone who has been an activist in the community for all rights out there, for human rights, and we're very excited. So we can bring some light, to those who are in the dark and and scared, because I think many of us are just by seeing what happens out there, and it's unexpected. So.
Well, that's why today we're joined by someone we deeply respect, Lorena Betts.
Thank you for having me.
Lorena is a public affairs coordinator at the Peacemakers Network. She's an advocate for human rights, a former legislative aide, and someone who spent her career helping communities organize through fear and not around it.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Can you guys hear us okay? Well, there's no one watching right now. It's Memorial Day. But you can watch this later.
Yeah, yeah.
And let us
We
know
do.
later.
Yes. Yeah.
So, can you paint a picture of what people are feeling right now?
Yes. 100%. People are scared. People are really having to change their normal routines in life. As a Brazilian, we know we love barbecuing, and I just heard yesterday that communities stopped doing that. They're staying in their homes, they are shut off and shut down. Life, we're not going with business as usual, and it's a scary time. It's confusing because a lot of information is being spread out there that it is not true, but even the information that we have about rights, for example, that are true, are not matching with the events that are unfolding in front of our eyes,
Right.
either on videos on social media or the news.
Right. There's a lot of confusion with that and fear, and I think sometimes also the way things are going, like transparency, right? There's not a lot of that at all. And I think the scariest thing about everything that's happening right now is being approached by someone with a full mask
Yes.
and just being taken away. There's
Mhm.
the way that it's being done.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So from your experience in both policy and grassroots spaces, what are you hearing from the committees?
The communities.
Communities?
Yes. It's okay. Well, from the immigrant community, I hear we're afraid. What should we do? Is this true? People reach out, just to confirm, is this true? Is this not true? People have a lot of legal questions. Like I find myself having to, constantly share, I'm not an attorney, but this is what I heard, or this is a event that will have an attorney speaking. You can ask those questions. People are very, very confused.
There's been a lot to talk about the federal enforcement actions happening in our region, at work sites, on roads like we described before, even near homes.
Yes.
Without naming names, what's your take on how these kinds of action affect not just individuals but the emotional health of our whole community?
I mean, no one should or can live in fear. And when you don't know what to expect, again, we are not talking about what we've had seen in the past, which is agents with the immigration enforcement gear, with cars that are identified that you can know, with not faces covered. All of that it's changed, and we are seeing. We don't know if it's what's happening is a kidnapping. We hear sometimes folks calling it would such person, that person was kidnapped, and why is that? Is because we don't know if that was an agent.
Right.
We don't know if that's an immigration enforcement officer. We've also seen in other places in the country where people who are not agents are actually, kidnapping people and taking them and pretending to be agents for their own, reasons. And so it's people are rightly so scared right now, and this is no way to live. This is no way for our community to live. And when I hear that people are afraid, it's normal to feel afraid. But I also know that the right information can feel empowering. Fear, I always say fear, it's meant to inform us, not to paralyze us. So we don't ignore the fear, but we say, okay, what is this fear telling me? It's to pause and check for the right information and then decide what is the right next step.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we try to tell the communities, to empower our communities to take the next right step for them. It's to share the right information and resources.
Right. You are so brave for what you're doing, because a lot of us, and even me in the public eye, I walk around with my my passport card in my wallet, but I kind of stay a little more on the quiet side just because I still have that fear of having to walk around with my passport in my wallet.
Yes, yeah. I have been walking with mine as well, and it is, our friend who is here also walking with hers. We have to do that, and yes, I am afraid every day. I'm a person of faith, and so every day I'm praying for protection because it's really all I can do. But I don't want you to feel bad about, not engaging the same way I do, because it's not even just about the fear, it's because we're all wired differently.
Right.
Someone will engage more on the front lines, someone can engage more on the background. And I like to see the community as a place for solutions, because many times those in power want to point the community as a place with the problems that they need to solve for us. But I think in this room here, we have people that carry different solutions based on their own skills, and so don't take that as a way of saying you're doing less. You're doing in your own way, and there are other ways you can engage that still stay truth to who you are.
We're very lucky to have you. Yeah. So we know that fear changes behavior. From what you're seeing, what are the ripple effects when people stop going out, stop working, and stop showing up in community spaces?
I mean, I will always go back to the community. I mean, first, people in power say, the economy, and we can get to that. But for me, what's sad is to see people who are not, having the quality of life they deserve because, again, being in the community requires us to get out, to, people go to church, go to the temple, go to school or appointments. And when people are unable to do that, the quality of mental health, their own health will decline. And yes, the economy, if people are not going to work, and I keep saying, we hear a lot about immigrants taking resources. But I say, why aren't we talking about the contributions? Because immigrants, let's talk about Massachusetts. We contribute hugely to the economy in Massachusetts. Immigrants are entrepreneurs, they're doctors, they're scientists, they're artists. We are contributing, and we need to bring that to the conversation as well, because that helps us to have a more informed point of view on what are the losses when immigrants stay home. So, yeah.
So, and what's the long-term impact on cities like Lowell, especially for small businesses, nonprofits, and even schools? And what kind of fear takes root?
I mean, the long term will be huge, I think, especially economically, because if immigrants, again, Lowell is such a diverse place, where you see there are immigrants from all over the world, and if immigrants are not getting out there and being the usual contributors that they are because they're living in fear, the economy will suffer. And if immigrants are not, participating in community service, we need immigrants to be a part of the conversation. When we're serving other immigrant communities, but immigrants are not a part of that, that environment, of that nonprofit environment, because they're not, being able to be part of that due to this fear, everybody suffers. Everybody suffers. And I keep saying that it's our well-being is interconnected. It's not about immigrant and, non-immigrant, white people, brown people, black people. Is if a part of our community is hurting, everybody also hurt.
Right.
One way or another, we can discuss which ways, but the truth is that there will be, effects on everyone's lives because of that.
Do you want to switch gears real quick?
Yes, sure.
Okay. What are some ways local governments can step up, especially when federal policies feel out of control?
Number one way I keep repeating is, I talk a lot about grassroots. When it comes down to that, the easiest way I can explain is that the community has the answers. The community, they know the solutions, and they should be part of the conversation. So number one way is, don't just stay in your office. Don't, just stay there dealing with paperwork and what, those are important things, but you have to be in the community, listening to the community, participating and also engaging and showing that you're there for them.
Right.
Because a lot of this is that, I say when I talk to leaders, I'm like, well, I want to know, do you see me? Do you see my humanity? And when something happens, are you going to show up for us?
Right.
And a confusion, I think, when it comes around the whole immigration issue is that people think, breaking laws, right? That's the number one thing. People are really afraid of engaging. There's so many ways you can engage in supporting the immigrant community that are lawful. And a quick reminder is that even undocumented immigrants are your constituents. So they're also the people who are, very likely paying taxes to pay your salaries. And I don't want to get controversial here. I'm just saying that it is important to engage with those communities, to be there with them and show them that you care.
We always say municipal government is where things get done, right? What are the kinds of changes cities can make that will actually help people to stay safer right now?
I think right now sharing resources is really important. I think people who hold offices, they have platforms that people follow, and again, there are lawful ways to share resources that immigrants can know your rights, resources, but also they have access to people that takes us a few more steps to get to. They have access to, Governor Maura Healey and the AG. So just advocating before them, or just learning what are the steps that are being taken to protect our immigrants' neighbors, and then conveying that message to the community. It's
In general.
it's pretty much use your privilege to the well-being of everyone in the community.
Right, so basically it's super simple, right?
Yeah.
You're being a representative to your constituents,
Yes.
Yeah.
what you're elected for.
Yes. Yeah. And
Like-
using that privilege for good.
Yeah, they have the channels, like you said, and
Yeah. And I know that this topic was not easy for you being an election year, but thank you for bringing this to light, being a candidate.
absolutely.
Yeah, if I can add something to that, is that what I have been seeing, which it can be disappointing, is that some leaders are holding back from engaging for many different reasons. I cannot judge because I don't know, but I think it's important to be courageous and take steps. And I always say, think of the community members who are looking to you and saying, right, what are they gonna say? What do they think about us? And avoiding subjects is not the way to do that.
Right.
It's learning to lean in the most kind way, and also, of course, observing the laws.
Right.
It's possible, and I think there is a false narrative out there that those things are not, going to win elections, but what win elections is caring for the community. And in all the ways we can care for the community, we should.
Right.
Absolutely. And like you were saying that it's a tough topic. In the first interview or live that we had here in Ask Sixto, that was a question that actually took us a while to come back and go back on track in the process, because it's very something that touched close to home.
Yes.
We are in Lowell. It's a immigrant city and very, very, very diverse, and we know a lot of people out there that are like hard workers, working for their families and
Yes.
providing and all of that. So thanks to Mrs. Esther, who actually brought the question up, because there are people who are our neighbors. Even myself, I'm really afraid to see what goes on out there. I saw in the news a couple of incidents where USA citizens or with the citizenship were taken into custody, and just to go through that is traumatizing. To go through the questions and so we want to know if it's a confusion, if it what's the criteria for this to happen, and what to do in situation like that, because you have to be respectful if you hopefully are taken by people that are supposed to enforce certain laws that are out there, but then you need to know what to do in those situations. And I think, like Lorena said, a way that we can all help in the community from different levels, if we have a platform, is to share the right resources, the information. There's a lot of people are very afraid, and then when that happens, if the people who have the right channels, that have the credibility to share the information that is right, and we don't do it, then we are being part of the problem and not the solution.
Very true.
Yes.
Very
Okay,
true. Yep.
so it's just as simple as that. Sharing the right information. When people are afraid, they hear fake news out there, and that just adds to the equation, and then it's like a snowball effect, and we can be part of like bringing some comfort of to our community by sharing the right resources, the right information, what's right, and not let them get confused and know what they have to do in a situation that themselves or a neighbor or a family member is affected by this situation.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
And
Yes.
just a reminder, if you are watching us live, please let us know you're here. Say hello. Put in any questions you may have for Lorena or Sixto. Please leave me out of it. But say hello.
Yeah.
We are very happy that you're joining us for this conversation, and it's something that it's not, when you Facebook is a part of all of our lives, right? It's just our
Yes,
generation.
yeah.
And when you're signing on, there's constantly videos
Mhm.
that are bringing fear and divisiveness into the community. So we're so grateful to have someone like you that can come in and show us and share resources with us how to be a little bit more comforted in the situation, because we'll know what to do.
Yes, yes.
So some people, and I know you heard this from me too,
Mhm.
some people watching might feel, I want to help,
Mhm.
but I'm not an organizer. What does everyday community care look like in this moment?
Yes, yeah. I think first we need to start with, really dismantling the lies that, were fed to us at some point, that you can only engage either if you're, an activist with, on the front lines, or a professional, a politician, a leader of some kind in the community. This is the time that I cannot, emphasize enough. It's a time for the community to come together. And if you're part of a community, you are part of the solution. So number one is stay connected. I know it's easy right now to, because of the fear, to isolate ourselves, but this is the time that more than ever we need to stay connected to community. And it doesn't need to be in a way that exposes you out there. There are local grassroots communities that you can connect to. I am from the Peacemakers Network. We're also part of the Rise Coalition of Lowell, who is, there are many organizations that are part of that are, trying to bring light to, some of these issues that immigrants are facing. So after this, I want to offer to post in the comments of this some resources that people can just click there and get in touch with organizations. These organizations, what do? They help you to get plugged in. For example, if a immigrant family has the breadwinner is taken by immigration enforcement, what are the mothers of young children to do with, the bills are coming, they need groceries. If someone is willing and they're connected to this, hubs, and they're willing to contribute to the grocery for the week, or to take a child to an appointment, simple things like that you don't need to be in the front lines, are things you can do to get involved. And one thing that I'm very passionate about, which is political advocacy. We have policies at the State House. I don't know if I'm jumping to some following questions, but we have policies at the State House right now that we're trying to advocate for, that is to improve, the safety of our communities and the lives of our immigrant communities. So you can engage with your legislators, let them know, please support this bill, please co-sponsor this bill. When there is a hearing, you can, by staying connected to these organizations, you can know there's a hearing coming up. Can you give testimony? Can you use your voice in that way? So it's always remembering your voice has power. You have power, and it's just a matter of how you're going to use it. And when we come together, we can encourage you to find the best way that you can use that.
Anything you'd like to plug that you're working on?
So the Safe Communities Act is a bill that we're advocating right now. It was filed in the Senate by Senator Jamie Eldridge, and in the House, I think, by Rep. Manny Cruz. And I'm not sure about the House sponsor, but either way, you can, if you live in the greater Lowell area, you have, the Reps, Rodney Elliott, Vanna Howard, and Tara Hong. You can reach out to them and ask them, are they co-sponsors of this bill? So when I say co-sponsors, is the more co-sponsors a bill has, the more it shows that it has a lot of support. So it increases the possibilities of this bill, passing. So ask them to co-sponsor, and then stay in touch with their offices to know what can be the next step you can take to help this bill pass and become law in Massachusetts, so that we can stay more protected. Also can reach out to Maura Healy's office and Attorney General Campbell's office and ask them, please continue, standing strong for our communities and protecting the immigrant communities. So those are ways you can engage, politically, to use your voice. And it pretty much is a phone call. A lot of our organizations, we give you the script. You can just look at the paper and, read slowly and say, this is what I'm asking. And we give you the phone number, the script. It's easy just to pick up the phone or even type an email if you're not comfortable talking on the phone. Because I know as an immigrant, it took me a while to get to the place where I was comfortable, making those phone calls. Yes.
Yeah. We've seen some hard things, but we also seen our community rise up.
Absolutely.
Lorena, can you share a time where you saw people come together and push back on fear with action?
Yes, I mean, I feel like I've been seeing that every day, but there was on Mother's Day more recently, because the town of Acton had a ICE raid there, and everybody was really, really troubled, and we just decided to come together and organize a rally very last minute, and we had, I think, in less than 24 hours the rally was organized, and we had like over 300 people show up to that rally,
Wow.
including State Senator Jamie Eldridge,
Mhm.
State Rep Dan Cena, who spoke at the rally. So it's heartwarming to see that, and I speak this to our immigrant neighbors. It's very hard to not walk around and feel like that you're not welcomed, that you are not liked, and that you're not worthy because of those messages that are coming from certain people.
Right.
But I want to remind you, there are a lot of people in our community that do support us, that are there for us. And I've been seeing them, and I just hope that you know that there are many, many of them. And that day I saw that. I saw many people standing up, and just last night we had another forum, and again, the community showed up big time because they want to know, how can we help? How can we, support the community? There are many of them out there.
Thank you so much, Lorena. And just to say hi to those who are watching right now and remind you that in this show or episode of Ask Sixto, prepared by Tao Lan,
It's Ask Lorena.
is basically Ask Lorena today. Lorena Betts is a local human rights activist in our community. And we have a tough topic that we are dealing with today, which is a situation that brings a lot of fear to our community, especially in our immigrant community, but it's affecting all of us.
Yes.
It's affecting all of us one way or the other, whether it's emotionally, whether it's just financially for small businesses as well out there that are taking a toll, and school attendance,
Yes.
and some training. It's many different ways that we're being affected, and we would just want to make sure that our families out there get the right information on what to expect, what to do when they are in that situation, and that's what we're discussing here today. So stay tuned, and we continue with Lorena.
And Lorena will connect us with resources.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Would you like a sip of water before we continue?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Perfect.
Me too. You can say something while I sip.
Okay. So there are people watching right now who are exhausted, burnt out, and grieving.
Yes.
What would you say to them?
Breathe. That's what I do every day. It's normal to feel this way. Take some time to rest. Take care of your health. There's a thing in my faith to say, love your neighbor as yourself, which is just a reminder I want to leave with you, regardless if you're a religious person or not, is you can't give to others if your cup is empty. So number one, take good care of yourself. And number two, plug into places where you can get, the right information. Filter and tone down all the, negative information that you're consuming every day. That we were not made to absorb that much. No human being is. And so I highly encourage people, just plug into some sources that you're going to be receiving, helpful information. Tone down on the parade of hateful rhetoric. WhatsApp groups. I know we from the immigrant community, we're in many WhatsApp groups. Well, actually, I really leave most groups because I can't take all the messages. But you don't have to leave the groups. Don't have to be so much like me. Just mute the group for the day, and yeah, just be compassionate with yourself, and one day at a time, I always say. I think we have a long road ahead of us. Sadly, I wish I didn't have to say that. So we really need to take one day at a time, one moment at a time. Stay connected with yourself, stay connected with the community, and the right sources of information.
Thank you so much, Lorena.
Olga left a comment. Would you like to read it?
Yes,
I can't see.
thank you so much, Olga Nieves Reynoso, for her comment. She says, phenomenal interview and information should be translated into other languages to reach people affected. Very, very good point. And that's a question then that we're going to ask Lorena. As we eventually we're gonna get to the links or the websites where the information can be presented, and also if that is already translated as we speak for those resources, knowing
Yes.
that some of the communities that are more affected directly speak a different language.
Absolutely. The resources I'm going to share have, different languages, which I'm very grateful, and that's a very good point. We do need to spread the word, and my special request for those watching is, please share those with everyone you know. A lot of times we think, oh, people are probably already know that. The truth is, a lot of people don't know. People are, they're living their lives, they're taking care of their children, they have their jobs. We all have lives. We have to deal with this whole immigration issue right now that is affecting our communities, and take care of our children, and do our jobs. And so a lot of people don't have the time to find these resources. So please share, and 100% they are in many different languages.
They are already. That's excellent. So, and for the people who want to get involved but are worried it's not safe or they won't know what to do, what is one first step they can take to support their neighbors? I know you mentioned earlier that behind the scenes, like there are some groups and some hubs that actually help with bringing a kid to a daycare or with food for the week and things like that. But any other additional steps and where they can find that information on what to do?
Yes, I think the number one is check in on people. Don't assume people are, don't need something. Checking in with the people you know. And then number two, of course, I will ask you to join our community so we're on Facebook. It's called the Peacemakers Network. And to me, it's just a way that you can then get plugged into the other resources, because I also don't want to, just start listing all the ways and all the things that you can, get involved. I want to tell you, join our community. Daily, we're posting ways to get involved. I am in touch with those other organizations. When the need comes, we share with the community. What our organization does is that, because I have been on the other side where I'm like trying to help, and what are the tools I need to be prepared, and where do I go then to offer that help? So what we do is that we share the knowledge and the resources, the educational resources. Number two, we try to do that in a way that brings the community together. So we do events that bring community together. And number three, we then point you to the organizations and the places where you can get plugged in and practice all the things you have learned. But yes, I think those organizations would be a great way to know what is the family that this week, something happened and they're in need of groceries or something like that, is to stay connected. And you don't have to plug into all the organizations, but stay, in a place where you can then learn about what's going on, especially locally. We, as we said earlier about the federal level, there's so many things at the federal level that we can't control right now.
Right.
And I know that is scary and frustrating, but I always bring it back locally. Let's focus here. What can we do here? And then from here we can build up, depending on your capacity, on advocacy for other, state level, federal level. But please start locally, because that's where we're at, and this is our neighbors, the people we see every day, and we must take care of each other.
Right. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we say goodbye?
So there is a resource called the Legislative Network that I'll share in the comments. But this, because when we talk about misinformation, a lot of the times now we're seeing videos left and right about ICE raids and masked people, arresting people and things like that. And a lot of times it just seems like they're everywhere at all times.
Right.
Therefore, I should not even, open my door and leave my house. What Lucy Network does is it's a hotline where people, when they, see immigration enforcement presence, and again, I want to repeat this for the, lawful side, is not to interfere. It's not, to go there and start interfering or breaking the law, but it's a way you can call the hotline, inform them that there's ICE presence. They have verifiers who are trained who can come and record, it's a constitutional right. They can record just to make sure, that we have that, recorded. And if there's constitutional rights being, broken, then there's a record of that for future, where hopefully we can get justice. So Lucy Network, what they recommend is before we go into all the Facebook groups and say, ICE is here, and then everybody panics, they call the Lucy hotline. They will send verifiers that can confirm if that's indeed ICE. There has been times that wasn't. Somebody shared yesterday an instance where somebody went and posted in the community group, ICE is near the school. And the kids can't go to school because ICE is there. And then they sent the verifiers, and it turned out it was not ICE that was there. So once they verify, then people can share with the community, but it's not helpful. And why are people doing that? Not because they're being bad, it's because it's really hard right now to identify who is ICE and who is not.
Right.
They're using all sorts of different clothing and with the masks. So having those verifiers from Lucy come, and they are in different communities and throughout the greater Lowell area, it's important. And so I will definitely share the number to the Lucy hotline, and to the language thing. They have once you call the hotline, they have different languages that you can speak to people that can speak your language.
That's very important information. I mean, today we definitely wanted to bring you over because of that question we had from Esther in our first show, and for what we see out there, and even ourselves, like how we feel about the whole situation, and there's this information, but also it's just because you've been out there on the field, you've been here in the community, and then we just want to use our platform to share like things that can make people's life better in these times, difficult times where there's so much fear and worry. So we want to bring that, and to do so, we want to do it with people who are in the know, to share the right information, to share the channels, to share the resources that are out there. And I think you have the websites that we can probably share after in the comments,
100%.
so people know what to do in a situation. We didn't talk about it, but I think those resources will have that information on what the person affected directly can do and know their rights. Also, their family members, how they can track them down, because I mean, a lot of fear is like, where are they taking them? Like, how to find them. And then, like you said, the resources in the community that are available right now, that what happened to those kids that stay home, the parents are not home now, and then how community comes together to actually help them either go to a doctor's appointment or go to school or different things. So that's very, very important, and to know, and coming again from the right people. And we are also motivating everyone with a platform to share this information, to bring some comfort to our residents in the community, anyone that is affected. And remember, we all are affected by this situation one way or the other.
Yes, 100%. Yes, and I just want to leave you with this too, that all the tools and all the resources we're sharing are, within, we're not asking people to break laws, we're not asking people to interfere. One of our, organization's values is nonviolence. So it comes down to taking care of each other, and we do want people's constitutional rights to be respected. But that's how we're approaching this conversation. So I know there are people out there who always try, especially when immigrants talking, or people from minorities talking, it's trying to distort things. And I just want to leave this very clear, that all we're advocating for is humane treatment, constitutional rights, and support for one another in our neighborhoods, in our community.
Thank you so much, Lorena. One from me, like one last thing that I would like you to encourage the whole community. You're very well known out there, but it's how to avoid fake news. Because remember that those are adding. I have people asking me questions. Did you see this video? Did you know what happened? So unfortunately, people share, like when they are in fear, like things that come and they give it for. It might be something from 5 years ago. It can be something that they are doing this at the banks or this. There are a lot of disinformation out there. So we want to make sure that people learn how to avoid that by going to the right channels and always finding the updated information and in terms of their rights and their resources.
That is like the question of our time, right? Fake news.
Yes.
How to avoid fake
Yeah.
news. I would say it's really hard. First of all, I don't want to water down. It's really hard to filter all the information receiving. It's TikTok videos, it's Facebook videos, and all of that. I would say the number one way I do it is to stay connected to the people who are in the front lines and asking. Again, like if we're in isolation and we're just absorbing all this stuff, it's just we're taking as truth.
Mhm.
But I go and meet with Sixto, or I go and meet with someone in the community, we talk about it, they're like, are you sure about that? I mean, let me talk to this other person and confirm that. So everything with the skepticism, okay? Sure, be careful, be mindful of protecting yourself, but have a critical mind, a critical mindset. You see something, always try to find the sources and then check the sources if they're true or not. Staying connected to these organizations are a great way. Staying connected to your neighbors who are, have other connections are a great way. We keep each other safe, goes beyond just, serving one another. It's also about helping each other to see sometimes it's a lot of the news we're receiving are just, either exaggerated or not true.
Yes.
So.
Thank you very much.
Read Priscilla's comment before we say goodbye. Or should we have Priscilla read her comment before we say goodbye?
All right, so thank you so much. We have Priscilla Tanaka Kelliger. There is so much passion for this community in this room. I am so proud of these three working on their day off to bring hope and encouragement to so many people who are living in fear right now. Thank you for your work and passion and for our community. Oh, thank you so much, Priscilla. That's very kind of you. And I think we all do that. We a lot of us do this on a regular basis, but this is a special edition of a topic that is affecting all of us in the community, and we're happy to do so. So. It's Ask Sixto, but today is Ask Lorena. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. And again, guys, this is not about immigrants only. This is about all of us. So just know this. We are here because we want everyone to thrive, and it's about what I always say: collective liberation. No one is free until everyone is free. So I just want you to keep that in mind. It's for everyone.
Thank you so much, Lorena.
This episode has been completely grounding. I remember the last time we were talking about this with Esther, we were both so emotional from that Dunkin' Donuts scene. And talking to you and learning more about what we can do to help the community. This has brought so much insight and control back into our own hands. So thank you for sharing all that information.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Thank you for
second
having
that.
me, guys.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Lorena, for
Thank you
all
for
what you're
you do as
doing.
well.
And that episode that was the first one, that episode that I was referring to is out there. It's online. You can also see it. Go and rewatch.
It's not out there online. It's on our Facebook page.
In
it's
our
on the
Facebook.
Sixto.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not floating.
It's in our Sixto for whole Facebook page.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the technical side of things. Yes, and I will let you
trust
finish.
wives to do that.
Yeah. Bye for the next session.
Thank you everyone for joining us today on the special episode of Ask Lorena. We are so grateful that you're here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, guys. And thank you for the work you're doing and helping to spread the resources and information.
We're the lucky ones. Are you kidding me?
Thank you for being available today on a holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, this work is priority for me. After my family, this is
Same.
priority.
Yeah.
Community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Community.
Same. We've been very lucky to find so many people that we love and respect in this community.
Mhm.
And
Same.
I think we've been extremely lucky because everyone works so well together. And how do you highlight everyone?
Yeah.
You know, so this was very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lorena.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Tal, for.
Thank you everyone for tuning in, and please share, the video and the resources with everyone you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us in this very special episode of Ask Lorena. Ask Sixto will continue with our lunch session next Monday at noon. And don't forget, you can always send us your questions ahead of time or ask them live on here, and we will be happy to answer them as we go. And keep an eye out for the links from Lorena. And then again, even on that, if you have follow-up questions even after the show, put them into the comments and we'll make sure that she gets the questions.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes. Bye.
Honey, you have long arms. You have to do that.
Oh.
One more.